Moving along on a Tuesday, it's 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Our thanks to our friends at AgriLiquid for being great partners here from St. John's, Michigan. Also, great partner here from CME Group is a friend, Todd Horwitz, regular contributor every week here to Market Day Report. Let's go to Chicago. Todd just getting home from the Cubs game last night. It went a little long last night, I guess, didn't it?
I went to sleep before it started. I couldn't start. You know, I got to get up early in the morning to stay ahead of everybody.
I understand. You got to stay ahead of the world here. So, all right. Well, the world not waiting here with these numbers coming out. I know you, people that are not familiar with Todd Horwitz and Bubba Trading, you kind of look at the numbers quickly, but you know, you have a long-term plan in place, and these reports don't really change your direction all that much. Is that right?
They wouldn't change it one bit. Again, when I look at reports, those are just information, but the information is typically already priced in ahead of the time, because we know anybody who can put together the facts and figures that are coming out can compile these reports kind of yourself. So what we see usually is an over amount of either buying or selling into these reports, and usually they're wrong, and we'll get a reverse off of that. But again, you want to make sure you're just kind of following the money flow and seeing what's happening, because that will really give you a much better standing of where the markets really are going to go.
Well, that being said, then, what do you think about the corn trade making a little bit of a run here prior to the numbers here the last couple of days, and December new crop over the 390 level here once again?
Well, if you listen to RFD, TV all the time, you hear that I said that corn was going to go higher off at 365, 355. Now, I mean, I like corn. I think it's going to go higher. I said to you last week we're going to go back over $4 December corn. I think that's pretty much of a given. I think it's going to be. I actually think it's going to be a very good year for our farmers and producers out there, because I think there's a lot of things happening in the outside markets that are going to drive these prices higher as well. So I'm not at all surprised. I thought the levels we saw were perfect, and I thought 355 was an outstanding place to step into the market. And of course, we've seen a rally from there, and I expect it to continue. Could we see a little bit of stuff? Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback back down to 360. But again, I think you want to be a buyer. This market looks like it wants to go higher, and I want to help it.
Now, what about soybeans here? A lot of the conventional wisdom, quote unquote, says that any rally should be sold in beans.
Well, we're really at that key number, 940. You know, we looked at 940. When we were trading 1050, we thought 940 was in place. So now I'm a buyer here at 940. I'm a cautious buyer, but I think this is the area that we're going to start to see some bouncing. I've heard calls. People have called as low as $6 beans here. I think they're going to go higher. I think that, you know, this stuff has a way of working its way out over time. And the way we've held this 940 level over the last 4 or 5 days indicates to me there are buyers and some new money stepping in, which would make me want to also be a buyer here. So I'm looking to buy here. You know, I'll buy a little bit more cautiously, but again, we can get back up to 10 fairly easily, and I think then we go higher. And again, this will tie in with the rest of the ag space, which I think is going to have a much better year this year, and we're going to get a lot of factors in our favor.
Very good. About a nickel lower in the soybean trade. That leaves us looking at wheat here right now. Anything in wheat that you like to see or know as we look at it in heading to mid-April?
Well, I think wheat is, again, I've been a big fan of wheat, as you know, and I think that wheat is going to go over $5. I mean, I'm pretty confident. I'm positioned that way.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very good. I think one thing to notice, so just for everybody else, is overnight we've seen lower corn, higher beans, and then we get today you see the reverse. That just shows you that the corn and wheat markets are a little bit stronger right now than the bean markets, and that's one thing you want to watch. You see the reverse during the day. That usually means that you're getting on light volume, you're getting the movement, and then it will reverse back up the other way when the actual market's open.
Yeah, real quick before we take a break, what about trade volume and the number of contracts that are being traded every day? Are we seeing it more of a lighter, moderate trade at best?
Well, this week's a little bit light and a little bit moderate because, you know, we've got Easter, Good Friday, and Passover. So there's a lot of holidays out here that are slowing the trade down, and there is a lot of angst in the overall market. So that's kind of slowed the trade down. But overall, I think it'll be fine. And I think what you're going to see is in the equity markets, volatility is starting to expand, and the market is starting to sell off a little bit, and that will bring in more new money from the speculator and trading standpoint, which will help our farmers and producers as well.
Very good. Todd Horwitz, Bubba Trading, live at the edge of the trading floor in Chicago. We'll take a break. Come back and talk livestock with Todd and get his thoughts on the cattle and hog trade. We continue after this. And We head back to Chicago and Todd Horwitz from Bubba Trading. It's bubbatrading.com. Todd Horwitz now looking at the livestock trade. Well, you have not a lot of positive things to talk about here in the cattle trade of late here. I don't know that a lot has changed here, Todd.
You know, Mark, I think we're well overdone here. Again, it's hard to try to pick tops and speculate from that side of the market. Right. But I do believe that we're going to see some selling pressure. I think we've gotten a little bit too far ahead of ourselves, and a lot of that had to do with that cash squeeze. We had a very similar setup that happened in hogs back in February, April. I think that same thing happened in cattle now in April, June. And I think you're going to see the same result we saw in the hog market, which is going to be a pretty significant sell-off. Now, longer term, again, I'm a fan, but we're going to have to make up for all this backwardation we're seeing going into the future. That is not a bullish sign, and no, you can't make that look bullish. So it's going to be some selling pressure here. We're still seeing a little bit of a squeeze, but as soon as that ends, you're going to see prices, I think, come down. I think those will be buying opportunities, but they need to come down. You know, I think that June cattle probably somewhere around 106 or 107s where I'm looking to step back in as a buyer. In the feeders, I'm looking in the mid 120s, I think, is a spot that I want to come back in. I think that you've got too much exuberance buying here, and I think you're going to find out that a lot of the speculators are overbought here. All
right, I'll get the numbers here, but get your thoughts of the pork complex here. We are lower starting out the day here in lean hogs, and still lower with that June now closing in below 73 now.
Well, you know, I looked at, and I'm going to use, just for this example now, I'm going to use 62 in the April. I thought that 62 was the target. We got to 62. That's close enough. I'm willing to say I've met the objective to the downside. Now I'm going to look for spots to buy it. So now I'm looking at 71 or so to step in June to be now a buyer of hogs. I think that the bottoms of now are either in or close. Okay. So now I don't want to get caught here. Now I think we're going to see prices turn and go the other way. And the actual pattern is fairly flat going out, which means we can hold on and we should see some bullish action over the summer.
Very good. And with that, I'm going to give the numbers here. Thanks for your time today. Well, I know you're back on the schedule tomorrow, so we'll check in with you then.
Thanks, Mark. Have a great day.
You bet. Todd Horwitz, Bubba Trading. It's bubbatrading.com. Here are the numbers: live cattle, feeder cattle, hog futures. April cattle up 60 points, 121.70. Next contract is June. It's down, but just 2 points lower, 112.28. Todd Horwitz says, look out here for the cattle trade. Maybe a bit overdone. Feeder cattle, likewise, a little more room to work lower. The April down or up 5 right now, though, 135.35. May at 135.45. is up 7. Hog futures lower, and maybe a place to step in here now. He says if we get April to 62 especially, he'd like to be a buyer in there technically. April now at 62.92 is down 40. May down 65. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that cattle market. We've been watching it for the past 4 days now.
We watch it every day.
Every day, but that rally continues.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Markets Editor Mark Oppold.